Next is another incredible entrepreneur. I met Larry Kloess about 6 months, maybe a year ago, and was just mesmerized hearing him talk about what he does. And just as Brian gave birth to a now very, very successful festival, Larry has an ongoing, if you will, festival called Cause a Scene. And he has showcased over 200 independent artists in very unusual places, and everywhere the guy goes, he causes a scene. So welcome him to the stage, please. Larry Kloess.
Thank you so much for having me, Tom. And thank you for coming out tonight. Instead of being at the grocery store, I'm having to run on eggs and milk and bread for the upcoming snowpocalypse. I'm sure that's not going to be anything, because it never is in Nashville. I'm a Nashville native. I've been here for over 20-something years. Any other Nashville natives in the room? Awesome. It's a little quiet, so we're a unicorn in here, one of like 4 or 5, I guess, in the city. If you get anything from the next 10 minutes, I hope it is that you can have very interesting beginnings and still chase after your dreams and continue to chase after that passion. So my background is not in music at all. My background is in psychology and healthcare and executive recruiting and college admissions counseling. But I always had this dream deep down in my gut to chase after something with music. I don't play, I don't sing. I had a record label executive years ago, my senior year of college at Stanford University in Birmingham, say, if you want to be taken seriously in the music industry, why the hell are you a psychology major at Stanford? You need to transfer up to Belmont and get a music business degree immediately. And all due respect to him, I had 6 hours left to graduate and I was coasting. So I was just looking for that degree. And there isn't just one way to do anything. But had this dream ever since I lived out in Colorado to really create community, develop culture around the discovery of music. And so years ago, 2011, I discovered this amazing band from Denton, Texas called Seryn. It's S-E-R-Y-N. They are now Nashville residents for the last year. And I'd fallen in love with their record, and it was unlike anything I'd ever heard, and they happened to be playing at the Basement. Sorry, Third and Lindsley, to reference another club in town. And I went and saw them, and I was maybe one of the few people in the room that knew who this band was, and I was singing every word, and they were staring back at me like I was a crazy person to actually know their music. And approached them afterwards, I guess as a fanboy, and said, if you're ever back in town, would you like to play a show in my living room? And it was like asking out the pretty girl, and just like, okay, you said you're just expecting them to say no. And then they said, yeah, we would love to. We love house shows, and we're actually going to be back in about a month. And in between those, in that month, they played a conference in Atlanta in front of 13,000 people. And then they played in my living room in front of 75, October 23rd, 2011. And I'd never felt that alive in my life. And a lot of dreams that I had not spoken into the world were coming true. Fast forward to January 2012, actually January 23, 2012, 2 days from now, it'll be 4 years since the official launch of Cause a Scene, which doesn't feel real on any level. By the way, these are all of our shows, or a lot of our shows are flashing in the background. And just continue to chase after this dream. The goal the first year of 2012 was to do 12 shows in 12 months. I didn't know any bands. I didn't have any connections in the industry, and so I just started asking if people would play. And I said I ran a music blog, which was sort of true. I'd done 3 posts or 4 posts. But they didn't have to know that. It worked. And it quickly became 28 shows in the first year of 2012. During that time, I'd applied to graduate school at Vanderbilt. I went for a semester. I took a leave of absence, never to return, because I was having too much fun chasing after this passion and living out my dream. During that time, I'd actually been recruited to go work at Paradigm with Jonathan Levine. And we got to see just some amazing artists come on board while I was there with Lone Bellow and Sturgill Simpson. And it's been amazing to watch his meteoric rise over the last several years. And then I walked away from that and got to work with Communion Records for a little bit with Ben Lovett from Mumford & Sons. And that was a dream come true for me, since Ben was a personal hero of mine, and Communion is just amazing tastemakers in London and throughout the world. and left that as well. In 2013, did 66 shows all over Nashville. It grew outside of my living room, much like Red Gorilla, grew outside of one stage or two stage, and now is working with 400 artists. And over the last 4 years, we've done almost 200 shows with over 700 artists, which is just bizarre. There's no other way to describe that. And over the last 2 weeks, Cause a Scene has actually gone from one person, hint, it's me, to 5 people as we look to expand outside of Nashville and actually outside of music, to where we develop this network that is all about community and the arts and excellence and just bringing people together in these intimate locations. While I've done a lot of shows in clubs all over Nashville, including the one we're in right now, what is really, really special for me is to have people walk into these new experiences in these new places and come together and form this bond that may or may not exist in a traditional space. And so we'll have shows, thankfully not in my living room anymore. The furniture is all where it's supposed to be for the first time in years recently. But we'll do stuff in coffee shops and in other people's houses and backyards and co-working spaces and offices and barber shops and anywhere and everywhere. Because in Music City especially, I want there to be music and live music in any room that will have it, that has the aesthetics, that has an amazing sound, and help people discover really, really great music. So I've gotten to work with my heroes. I said this once at a show in the first or second year of Cause a Scene that I felt eventually it would get boring or the newness would wear out, introducing yet another band on the Oriental rug in my living room in front of a packed house full of people. And then I would turn around and see my heroes. Would see John Fulbright, who 3 months after our show was nominated for a Grammy. And Matthew and the Atlas was that same show. He was a personal hero and friend of mine from London. And I realized it's never going to get old. It was incredibly exciting for me. And I got to give up the 9 to 5 to chase after something that is more like a 24/7, 365, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And get to work with a band like the Swear and Shake here and Dinner in a Suit, who's on the next slide. And actually, that Dinner in a Suit and New Lore, 2 local bands, had played that very first show. This last May, we went back into Mercy Lounge and did a show there for my 30th birthday, and had 480 people show up to see 9 bands and had 2 food trucks. And it wasn't about my birthday. It wasn't about the bands necessarily. It was about having a space for people to come together and feel like they can be themselves and feel like they can be part of something bigger than themselves. I was getting emails leading up to that week of, hey, I'm moving to Nashville from LA like the day of your birthday. Can I come to your party? I've been following you on Instagram, which sounds a lot creepier than it really is. I said, absolutely. This is the whole reason we're having a celebration this big, because I want people to interact and to meet. Because when I moved back to Nashville after being gone for about 7 years in 2010, I moved back 2 weeks after the flood in response to what I was seeing on the news and seeing the community and seeing the way these amazing people in Nashville were coming together and picking each other up by the bootstraps and helping one another, and we're there for one another. And I didn't really have that where I was in Birmingham at the time. And so I just wanted to, I guess, extrapolate that and intensify that to where people were getting to hear each other's stories more and more and getting inspired by art. That's at Scout's Barbershop here with Corey Brannon, that was an amazing show. That was one of our last shows of this last year with Corey and Band of Heathens, an amazing band from Austin, Texas. And got some Austin folks out there. I know my roommate's here somewhere from Austin. And so now we're kind of transitioning and developing content around these. We're launching a podcast next month and a new website in March, and actually a Kickstarter campaign in April. So please give us your money if you'd like, or just buy a ticket to a show. That's always fun too. In order to grow this in other markets, because I'll get emails all the time of how can we have Cause a Scene in Atlanta? When is Cause a Scene coming to San Diego? What would this look like in Minneapolis or Chicago or Chattanooga? Because those are just culturally rich communities, and truly there's culture everywhere, all over this world, and I want to celebrate that and bring people together and hopefully develop these music scenes, because that has been the most exciting thing to me over the last several years being back in Nashville, that for a city that was known almost exclusively for country music, that there are artists across the board, across genres, all sorts of different sounds that are breaking and being discovered and being appreciated and able to make the music that they identify with the most. And yeah, if you have questions, email me. This may be a huge mistake, but my email is larry@causeofseemusic.com. And we're actually announcing a show tomorrow morning. If you like on the mailing list, email hello@causeofseemusic.com. We'll say hello back and get you on the mailing list so you get all the updates on that. And it is just an absolute pleasure. So thank you, Tom.
How about some questions for Larry right now as opposed to emailing? Anybody got one? How inspiring was that? I want to go to work for him. Anybody want to join me?
We don't have money yet.
Question right here. Are you? What's the weirdest place you've had a band perform?
My parents' house, probably, for a variety of reasons. I don't know why I thought of that. Yeah, that was for my birthday years ago. They have vowed never to host another show in their living room. They said unless it's Ricky Skaggs. So one day Ricky Skaggs is going to do a house show, and that'll be all over the papers, maybe. We'll see. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Larry. Appreciate it. Awesome.